Hey, what's up, everyone? Gaming Arts One here, and today I'm giving my 2 cents on Final Fantasy 16 as it relates to 2023. Now, we all know that this game's supposed to be coming out sometime next year. I don't think the exact date has been confirmed just yet, but we do know that the game is going to be developed by Creative Business Unit 3, and it's going to be published by Square Enix, and it's going to be utilizing Unreal Engine 4. Now, one of the more interesting things about this game is that it's going to be released exclusively for the PlayStation 5, which I think Square Enix is kind of taking a gamble with that, because you look at Final Fantasy 15, which came out in 2016. That was a game that appeared on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and then later down the line, it was released for Microsoft Windows in 2018. Now, I do feel that keeping it exclusively on the PlayStation 5 could either help or hinder Final Fantasy 16 in terms of commercial success, because you look at the PlayStation 4 and you look at when Final Fantasy 15 was released, the PlayStation 4 had been out for about, I guess, almost 3 years, like when Final Fantasy 15 had come out. And I do feel that PlayStation 5 is still kind of new, because the PlayStation 5 came out late 2020, and it's been like at least 2 years since PlayStation 5 was released. And even though the PS5 is selling out like crazy in retailers around the world, it still hasn't achieved the level of, I guess, sales that the PlayStation 4 had reached by the time we got into like late 2016. And you look at the sales for Final Fantasy 15, I believe the game managed to reach at least 10 million units worldwide. So the question is whether or not Final Fantasy 16 will be able to surpass that within a couple of years from now. And honestly, that's something that's kind of hard for a lot of people to predict. I'm pretty sure that Square Enix has their expectations and metrics that they expect to meet. But if you look at the plot for Final Fantasy 16, the overall setup and everything, it looks pretty cool, and it feels more like a traditional Final Fantasy game, but at the same time, it doesn't look like something that I guess people can really get into, because it seems like the theme for this game revolves around like a war that's taking place between different factions and a deadly disease known as the Blight while this is all happening, which is, I guess, like the Blight in this game is supposed to be COVID-19 or whatever. But pretty much, there are some people who appreciate the fact that like this game seemingly mirrors what's going on with reality, because there's always that possibility of a world war breaking out in real life, as that's going to be the case in Final Fantasy 16. But the whole medieval setting and stuff like that is probably something that people probably won't be turned on to so much. Because you look at Final Fantasy 15, it looked more contemporary and modern and whatever. So I guess more people got into it because of that. But, I guess like people who are longtime traditional fans of Final Fantasy series probably are more accepting of the fact that this game is pretty much, it has like a medieval setting. It's more fantasy based, and it's too early to tell whether or not the characters are compelling, but I do feel that Final Fantasy 16 is a game that it's definitely one that would pique your curiosity, especially the whole concept of the dominance, basically monsters that can be manifested through humans, whether they feel like angry or vengeful or what have you. I think that whole aspect of it is very intriguing, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in terms of gameplay and all that. But I do feel that Final Fantasy 16 is probably going to be, as of right now, the best RPG of 2023, or if not the best RPG, it'll probably end up being one of the top 5 RPGs to come out of 2023 once the year is over. And I could definitely see it selling more than Final Fantasy VII Remake, which came out back in 2020, I believe. And I believe the Final Fantasy Remake managed to sell at least 5 million copies in terms of sales. And we're supposed to be getting a part 2 of that sometime later down the line. I'm not exactly sure when the exact date of its release is going to be, but I do feel that Like Final Fantasy 16 is at least going to do half of what Final Fantasy 15 did in terms of overall sales. But if it does surpass Final Fantasy 15, I'll be quite surprised and I'll be pleasantly shocked. And honestly, I do feel that if Final Fantasy 16 is a massive commercial success on the PlayStation 5, then Square Enix will most likely move to having it ported to PC a little bit later down the line.